Jamal's stories. My daughter threw a pitcher of freezing ice water straight at my face during our Sunday lunch. The cold hit me like tiny knives. Water dripped from my nose and chin. Ice cubes bounced off my chest and fell to the floor. My nice white shirt was now see-through and stuck to my skin. The water made a puddle around my shoes. But the cold water wasn't the worst thing. The worst thing was that nobody helped me. 15 people stared at me. Nobody moved to get a towel. Nobody said anything. My daughter, Lily, stood tall with a mean look on her face. She had practiced that look many times. She pointed her finger at the front door. "You have 10 minutes to leave my house," she said loudly so everyone could hear. 10 minutes to disappear from my life. Her husband Mark sat still in his chair. Then he started clapping. Slow claps at first. Then faster and louder. The other people at the table started clapping too. The sound of hands hitting hands filled my ears like drums. I picked up a napkin and wiped my wet face. I took a big breath. 59 years of being treated badly all came together right then. But I didn't cry. Something inside me became strong like steel. I reached into my bag and took out a brown folder. I threw it on the table. Papers flew everywhere. They landed on plates and between forks and spoons. "You're right," I said in a voice as cold as the ice water. 10 minutes and everything you think is yours will be gone. But to understand how I got here with water dripping from my hair and power in my hands, I need to tell you about my past. Way back to when I was just a quiet kid in a house where nobody said my name with love. I grew up knowing I wasn't important. I knew I would never be important to them. My sister Sarah was the star of our family. Everything turned around her. I was like a shadow in the corner. When she got a B on a test, my mom Emma made her favorite dinner. When she sang at a school show, my dad Robert invited everyone he knew to watch. I brought home all A's and got a quick, good job, without anyone looking up. I won art contests and nobody cared. I remember one birthday. I was 10 years old. Sarah got a new pink bike with a basket and ribbons. She had asked for it all year. She jumped up and down and hugged Mom tight. Dad took so many pictures that day. I still remember the flash of the camera. I got an old stuffed bear with a torn ear. It smelled weird and had a patch on its stomach. It was clearly used. I smiled and said, "Thank you," because that's what they wanted. Always smile. Always stay quiet. Sarah broke that bike in 2 months. She left it outside in the rain. It got rusty and sat in our garage forever. But she always got something new. There was always something new for Sarah. The only person who really saw me was my Grandma Ruth. When I walked into her house, her face lit up like sunshine. When I talked, she listened to every single word like it was the most important thing ever. "Oliver," she told me while we sat in her garden with flowers everywhere, "you have something special inside you. Don't let anyone make it disappear." I was 12 the first time she said that. I didn't really understand what she meant. But I kept those words in my heart like a secret treasure. Grandma Ruth had been a teacher. She taught kids for 40 years. She had books everywhere in her house. Old books, new books, books stacked on tables and shelves. She let me read any book I wanted. I sat in her big blue chair and dreamed about being someone important one day. "Do you want to be a teacher like me?" she asked one afternoon. "Yes," I said right away. "I want to help kids feel important." She smiled so big her eyes crinkled. "Then you will. And when you do great things, they will finally see what they missed." But my family never saw it. When I was 17, I got accepted into college to study education. I got a special letter that said they would pay for everything because my grades were so good. My mom barely looked away from her phone. "That's nice," she said in a flat voice. "You'll be busy, I guess." My dad just nodded and went back to reading his newspaper. Sarah laughed at me. She said I would probably quit after 1 month because teaching was boring. Grandma Ruth took me out for ice cream. Just the two of us. We sat at a small table, and she ordered my favorite flavor. "To Teacher Oliver," she said, raising her spoon. "The man who will change lives." I cried that night in my bed. Not because I was sad. I cried because I felt 2 things at once. Happy that someone believed in me. Sad that only one person did. College was hard. Really hard. I studied until my eyes hurt. I worked at a pizza shop at night to help pay for books. I slept 4 hours every night. When I felt like giving up, I remembered Grandma's words. The special thing inside me. I couldn't let it disappear. Sarah went to college too. She wanted to study fashion design. Mom and Dad paid for everything. They bought her a car. They paid for her apartment. She had everything she needed. She failed her first year. She went to parties every weekend. She changed her major 3 times. Mom and Dad said, she's finding herself. Kids need time to figure things out. I graduated in 4 years with perfect grades. Sarah took 7 years to finish. But when she finally graduated, the party was huge. More than 80 people came. There was a DJ and fancy food, and a big cake with her face on it. When I graduated, Grandma Ruth took me to a restaurant. Just us two. My parents said they were busy that day. Sarah didn't answer when I called her. Oliver, Grandma told me that night with tears in her eyes. Always remember this. Real family isn't who you're born to. Real family is who sees your light when everyone else is blind. I didn't know then that those words would come true years later. That one day, with ice water on my face and papers on a table, those words would save me. My first teaching job was at a tough school. Kids who didn't have much money. Kids who had hard lives. I worked 12 hours every day. I brought my own money to buy supplies. I stayed late to help students who needed extra time. Sometimes I was so tired I could barely stand. But every time a kid understood something new, every time a student smiled because they finally got it, I felt like my life had meaning. I felt like I mattered. Grandma Ruth visited me at school sometimes. She brought sandwiches in plastic bags. She sat in my classroom and waited for me to have 10 minutes free. I am so proud of you, she always said. More than I can ever say. I needed to hear that. I needed it like I needed air. Because at home when I visited, all anyone talked about was Sarah and her new clothing store. She had decided to start a business. She was going to be famous. She was going to be rich. My parents gave her $40,000 to start. The store closed after 6 months. She spent all the money on expensive clothes that nobody bought, and a store in a place nobody went to. But my parents said it was okay. They said, business is about learning. They gave her another $20,000 for her next idea. I kept teaching. I got better and better at it. I took special classes to learn new ways to help kids. I went to teacher meetings in different cities. I paid for my own plane tickets. I read every new book about teaching. I wanted to be the best. It worked. When I was 35, I was asked to become the head teacher at Lincoln Elementary. Not just a regular teacher anymore. The boss of all the teachers. It was a big honor. Teachers with 20 more years of experience wanted that job. I called my family. My hands were shaking. Maybe this time they would care. Maybe this time they would say something nice. My mom answered. Oliver, what's wrong? Why are you calling? Nothing's wrong, Mom. Something good happened. I got promoted to head teacher at Lincoln Elementary. It's one of the best schools in the state. She was quiet for so long I thought she hung up. Mom, are you there? Yes. That's good, honey. Congratulations. Listen, I have to go. We're planning a party for Sarah. She got an investor for her new online store. We want to celebrate. I hung up without saying goodbye. I sat on my kitchen floor. I cried until there were no more tears left. 35 years old, and I was still hoping. Still hoping they would see me. Grandma Ruth called that same night. She always knew when I was sad. Oliver, my brilliant boy. Your mother told me about your new job. She should be shouting about you from the rooftops. What you did is amazing. They don't care, Grandma, I said. My voice sounded broken. They never have. I know, sweetheart. But you need to know something. Their not caring doesn't make you less special. You are special because of what you built with your own hands and your own brain and your own heart. And one day, they will understand what they threw away. I promise. I didn't understand what one day meant. But Grandma Ruth always knew more than she said. Sarah lost all that investor's money in less than 8 months. Her online store sold cheap clothes for too much money. People complained. The investor took her to court. My parents paid $50,000 to make it go away. Sarah never faced any real trouble. She never did. She met Mark around that time. He worked in advertising. He was handsome with perfect hair and white teeth and nice suits. The kind of man who knows how to look good in every situation. From the start, I knew he was fake. But Sarah loved him. She finally found someone who told her she was amazing just like our parents did. They got married in an expensive wedding. Over $80,000. Mom and Dad paid for everything. I was invited because they had to invite me. I sat at a back table far away from the family. I sat next to cousins I barely knew. During the speeches, my dad talked for 20 minutes about how proud he was of Sarah. Sarah has faced challenges, he said with emotion in his voice. She's fallen down and gotten back up. That's what makes a strong person. Challenges that they paid to fix. Falls that they caught with money. But nobody talked about that. Grandma Ruth sat next to me. She held my hand under the table when she saw tears in my eyes. Be patient, she whispered. Everything happens when it's supposed to. Sarah and Mark moved into a house that Mom and Dad helped them buy. 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, a big backyard. Most people could never afford a house like that at age 30. I made 3 times more money than Sarah ever did. I bought my own small house years before. I paid for every cent myself. My house was smaller than Sarah's, but it was mine. Completely mine. Years went by and my career kept growing. I wrote articles about teaching that were printed in magazines. I was asked to speak at teacher meetings in different states. I started programs that helped poor kids get school supplies for free. I was on TV news talking about education. My face became known to other teachers. Young teachers asked me for advice. Student teachers wanted to learn from me. My family barely noticed. When I was on a big TV show talking about helping poor schools, my mom said my tie looked weird. My dad said I talked too fast. Sarah didn't even watch it. Grandma Ruth recorded it on her old VCR. She watched it 5 times. Someday, she told me during one of our dinners, they are going to want to brag that you're their son. They will tell everyone that the famous Oliver is their family. And when that happens, I want you to remember right now. I want you to remember who was here when nobody knew your name. Sarah kept failing at everything while I kept succeeding. But her ego stayed big. Nothing could hurt it. She was always protected by Mom and Dad's money. After the online store failed, she decided to become a life coach. She was going to help people fix their lives. Mark quit his stable job to help her. We're going to be millionaires, she told him with crazy confidence. My parents gave her $50,000 to start. She rented an expensive office. She made a website. She promised to change people's lives in 30 days. She had no training. She had no degree in psychology. She had no experience helping anyone. The business lasted 4 months. Nobody wanted to pay $500 an hour for advice from someone who couldn't manage their own life. When she had to close, Sarah blamed the economy. She blamed her clients for not trying hard enough. She blamed the location of her office. It was never her fault. Never. There was a time when I was 40 that I tried to help. I thought maybe if I reached out, we could have a real relationship like real siblings. I called her on a Wednesday. Sarah, I heard you're looking for work. I have connections at the school district. There are good office jobs. Steady pay. Good benefits. She laughed. A cold, mean laugh. A regular job? You mean work for someone else? Oliver, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a leader. You wouldn't understand because you're just a glorified babysitter. I hung up. That was the last time I tried to help her. The last time I offered kindness that she burned before I could even give it. Grandma Ruth turned 83. Her health started getting bad. Her heart wasn't working right. She had to go to the doctor all the time. I went with her to every appointment. I made sure she got the best doctors. I spent every free moment with her. We had dinner at her house, and she told stories about when she was young, about the kids she taught, about Grandpa who died before I was born. She talked about him with so much love it made me believe real love existed. Oliver, she said one night as we sat in her living room full of books, I need to talk to you about something serious. Her voice sounded different, more heavy. What's wrong, Grandma? Are you feeling sick? Should I call the doctor? No, my boy. It's not that. It's about the future. My future. Or the end of it. My stomach dropped. Don't talk like that. You have lots of time left. Oliver, I'm old. We both know the truth. My heart is tired. That's okay. I lived a good long life. But I need to make sure everything is set up right for when I'm gone. She pulled out an envelope from her desk drawer. It was thick and sealed with red wax like in old movies. My name was written on the front in her handwriting. This envelope is for you. Only you. When I die, my lawyer Mr. Brooks will give it to you officially. But I want you to know now that it exists. Don't open it until that time. Promise me. Tears rolled down my face. I promise. Inside are important papers. Instructions. Things I worked on for 2 years. Your family will be upset. Your mom, your dad, especially Sarah. But everything I did on purpose for good reasons that will become very clear. What's in it? Justice, she said simply. Justice that's been waiting a long time. I didn't understand. But I put that envelope in my safe at home. I tried not to think about it. Thinking about it meant accepting that Grandma Ruth was getting ready to leave. 5 months later, on a rainy Tuesday morning, I got the call I was scared of. Grandma Ruth had died peacefully in her sleep. No pain. Her heart just stopped after 83 years. I cried for 4 days. I cried at home. I cried at school between classes. I cried in my car. I lost the only person who truly loved me. The only person who saw all of me. The funeral was strange. My parents cried, but it seemed fake. Sarah looked annoyed, like the funeral was bothering her. Mark stayed next to her, checking his phone when he thought nobody was looking. I sat in the front row wearing a black suit. My eyes were red from crying. I held Grandma's hand in the coffin before they closed it. It was cold. I leaned in and whispered, "Thank you for everything, Grandma. For seeing me. For loving me. For teaching me that my value doesn't depend on them." After the funeral, Grandma's lawyer walked up to me. An older man named Mr. Brooks. Black suit. Old briefcase. "Mr. Chun," he said quietly but seriously. "Mrs. Ruth left specific instructions. I need to meet with you privately very soon. There are important things to discuss." My mother heard part of it. "Things? What things?" "We are the family. Whatever Grandma left concerns all of us." Mr. Brooks looked at her with a blank face. "Mrs. Chun, I respect that. However, Mrs. Ruth was very clear. I must meet with Mr. Oliver Chun privately first. After that, there will be a formal will reading for everyone." Sarah walked up, getting too close to my face. "This is stupid. What secrets could Grandma have with Oliver? He barely even visited her." That lie hurt like a punch. I spent more time with Grandma in her last years than all of them combined. But I didn't argue. Not at her funeral. "We'll meet tomorrow," I told Mr. Brooks. "At my office at 3 o'clock. That night I took the envelope from my safe. Still sealed. Still with my name in Grandma's handwriting. I touched the letters with my fingers. "What did you leave for me, Grandma?" I whispered in my empty house. "What is this justice you talked about?" The meeting with Mr. Brooks changed everything. He came with 2 big briefcases full of papers. He sat across from my desk. He said no to the water I offered. He got right to the point. "Mr. Chun, your grandmother loved you very much. That needs to be clear first. Everything she did was because she thought you were the only person worthy of her legacy." "What do you mean by legacy?" Mr. Brooks opened the first briefcase and pulled out a blue folder. "Mrs. Ruth was a very smart, very aware woman. For many years, she watched how your family treated you. She saw how your mother Emma and father Robert favored Sarah over you. She saw every unfair thing, every mean comment, every time they made you feel invisible." My throat felt tight. Hearing those words said out loud by someone else was almost too much. "She also saw," Mr. Brooks continued, "how you built yourself with no help. How you became an amazing teacher. A successful man. Someone who makes a real difference in the world. And she decided that when she passed away, her money should go to the right hands." He opened the folder. Inside was a 30-page will. Every page signed and official. "Mrs. Ruth leaves you everything she owned," he said with no emotion. $2,400,000 in bank accounts and investments. The house where she lived worth $300,000. Her collection of rare books worth $150,000. All her belongings, including her teaching materials, which she knew you would love. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. That's almost $3 million. $2,850,000 to be exact. To your parents, she leaves $75,000 each. To your sister Sarah, she leaves $5,000. And a letter. Mr. Brooks pulled out a smaller envelope. To be given to Sarah during the formal will reading. Mrs. Ruth wanted her to hear certain truths. My hands shook as I took the will copy. Page after page of legal words that all said the same thing. Oliver gets everything. Oliver is the main heir. Oliver is the one who deserves what was earned in a lifetime. Is this legal? Can they fight it? Mr. Brooks smiled for the first time. "Mr. Chun, Mrs. Ruth and I worked on this will for 2 years. It is completely legal in every way. We had it checked by 4 other lawyers. Your family can try to fight it, but I promise they will waste time and money." Why did she do this? I know she loved me, but this is going to destroy my family. With respect, sir, your family destroyed itself many years ago. Mrs. Ruth just made sure justice was served. Also, there's more. More? How can there be more? Mr. Brooks opened the second briefcase. "Mrs. Ruth hired me 18 months ago to look into your sister Sarah's money situation. What we found is concerning." He pulled out another folder. Read this time. Inside were bank papers, loan documents, and records. Sarah currently owes $240,000 to different people. Credit cards. Personal loans. Failed business debts. She has been hiding from people she owes money to for years. She has moved money around in ways that might be illegal. The house she lives in has a second loan on it that your parents don't know about. She is 3 months from losing it. I looked at the papers with shock and fascination. My sister, the family princess, was completely broke. Mrs. Ruth knew Sarah would eventually ask the family for more money, especially after her death when she expected to get a lot. That's why the will is like this. Mrs. Ruth didn't want her hard-earned money wasted paying Sarah's debts. A woman who never learned to be responsible. Do my parents know about Sarah's debts? No. Sarah has been very careful hiding it. But eventually everything comes out. Mr. Brooks closed the red folder and looked straight at me. Mr. Chun, your grandmother gave me one last instruction. She asked me to tell you this exactly. Don't be afraid of the storm coming. You are stronger than all of them together. And when they try to make you feel guilty, remember every time they made you feel invisible. Remember who was there when you had nothing. Tears finally came. I cried in my office in front of a lawyer I barely knew. I cried for the grandmother who loved me so much she protected me even after she died. I cried for the kid I was who never got what he deserved. The formal will reading was 4 days later. My parents, Sarah, Mark, and I met at Mr. Brooks's office. The air felt tense, but everyone was polite. Everyone expected to hear how Grandma's money would be split. Emma wore a nice black dress and pearls. Robert wore his best suit. Sarah and Mark arrived holding hands. She looked confident. He wore that fake smile. Mr. Brooks started reading. The first parts were legal stuff. Then he got to the numbers. To my son Robert Chun, I leave $75,000. I hope he understands that money doesn't replace being present. Dad nodded, happy. $75,000 was good money. To my daughter-in-law Emma Chun, I leave $75,000. I ask that she think about what it truly means to be a mother. Mom frowned a little at that second part. But the money made her feel better. To my granddaughter Sarah Chun, I leave $5,000. Complete silence. Sarah sat up straight. 5,000? Only 5,000. Mr. Brooks kept reading like he didn't hear. And a letter, which I will now read according to Mrs. Ruth's instructions. He pulled out a paper in Grandma's handwriting. My heart beat so loud I thought everyone could hear it. Sarah, I have watched you for 38 years. I have watched you waste every chance you got. I have watched you take your parents' money without saying thank you. I have watched you treat your brother with meanness when he is better than you in every way. The $5,000 is more than you have honestly earned in your whole life. Sarah jumped up. Her chair fell backward with a crash. This is a joke. This has to be a joke. Mr. Brooks raised his hand. Please, Miss Chun, sit down. I'm not finished reading. I'm not sitting. This will is fake. My grandma was old and confused. Someone tricked her. Ma'am, Mrs. Ruth was checked by 3 different doctors while making this will. All said she was completely aware and clear-minded. If you want to fight it, that's your choice. But I warn you that you will lose. Mark touched Sarah's arm. Honey, sit down. Let's hear everything. She picked up her chair and sat down hard. Her jaw was tight. The veins in her neck stuck out. My mother looked pale. My father stared at the floor. Mr. Brooks kept reading the letter. I have watched how your brother Oliver built his life with his own hands. No help. No special treatment. No cushion of money like you always had. He is everything you could have been if you chose hard work over handouts. For this reason, and because he is the only person in this family who understands the value of work and dignity, I leave Oliver everything else I own. What? Emma finally spoke. Everything? How much is everything? About $2,850,000 plus property and belongings, Mr. Brooks said. Chaos. Sarah yelled that this was unfair. That I tricked Grandma. That she would sue until she took everything from me. Mark tried to calm her, but his eyes looked angry at me too. My mother cried. Not sad crying. Angry crying. My father looked at me like I did something wrong. Oliver, Robert said, his voice shaking with anger. What did you do to Grandma? How did you trick her into this? I didn't do anything. I said calmly even though I didn't feel calm. I didn't even know about this until 4 days ago. Liar, Sarah yelled. You were always sneaky. You always wanted to be better than me. I never had to want it, Sarah. I just am. The words came out before I could stop them. But they were true. The truth I lived my whole life without saying out loud. Sarah ran toward me. Mr. Brooks stepped between us. Ma'am, please control yourself or I'll have to call security. This isn't over, Sarah hissed at me. I'm going to fight this will. I'm going to prove you tricked her. I'm going to destroy you. Try it, I said, standing up. But before you start a legal battle you can't win and can't pay for, you should know that Grandma also looked into your money problems. I know about the $240,000 you owe. The second loan on your house. I know everything, Sarah. Her face turned white. Mark looked at her confused. What is he talking about? What second loan? Shut up, Oliver, Sarah said in a low, scary voice. Why should I? Why have I always had to be quiet? You've all lived in a fantasy for years, pretending Sarah is successful when she's actually broke. She only survived because of Mom and Dad's money. Emma stood up. Stop it. I won't let you talk about your sister like that. She has worked hard. She has tried to build businesses. Not everyone has the luck of your stable job. Luck? I laughed, but it sounded bitter. You think this was luck? I studied for years while Sarah partied. I worked night shifts while she slept till noon. I built a career while you handed her everything. It wasn't luck, Mom. It was sacrifice. Something none of you understand. You're ungrateful, my mother said with poison in her voice. After everything we've done for you. What have you done for me? What exactly? Tell me one thing. Just one thing you did for me that you didn't do double for Sarah. Silence. A loud silence that answered better than any words. That's what I thought, I said, picking up my bag. Mr. Brooks, send me the papers I need to sign. I'm leaving. Oliver, please, my father finally spoke. Don't destroy this family over money. I stopped at the door and turned around. I'm not destroying it, Dad. You did that years ago. When you decided one child was worth more than the other. When you chose comfort over fairness. When you chose lies over truth. I'm just putting a name on what always existed. I pulled a smaller envelope from my bag and put it on the table. This is for you both. 2 checks. One for each of you for $40,000. It's more than you ever spent on my education. More than you ever spent on me at all. Take it as my last gift to this family. I don't want your money, my father said. His pride was hurt. Of course you want it. You've wanted it since you found out about the inheritance. That's why you organized today. That's why you're here. So take it. But know this. It's the last thing you'll ever get from me. After today, you don't exist to me anymore. No more calls. No more visits. No more chances. I walked to the door and stopped there. Grandma Ruth was right about everything. She told me that someday you'd want to brag that I'm your son. That you'd want to tell people that the famous Oliver is your family. And when that happened, I should remember who was there when nobody knew my name. That day has come. In the last few years I've been on TV. I've saved programs that help thousands of kids. I've been offered jobs in 5 different states. And every time someone asks about my family, you know what I say? I say my grandma was the best person I ever knew. Then I change the subject. Because you don't deserve to be part of my success story. The 10 minutes were up. I looked at my watch one last time. Time's up. And everything that was yours is now gone. Your daughter lost her house, her husband, and her fake image. You lost your son. Not because I'm cruel, but because I finally understood what Grandma tried to teach me. That my worth doesn't depend on you seeing it. I walked out of that office with my head high, with water stains still on my shirt from earlier that day. But my heart felt lighter than it had in years. I heard crying behind me, but I didn't look back. There was nothing there worth keeping. 3 years have passed since that day. Sarah followed the deal I offered. She paid me back slowly by getting a real job. Nothing fancy, but honest work. She pays her rent to me on time. She still has 8 years of debt to pay. But at least she's trying now. Mark divorced her and moved away. My parents tried to contact me many times the first year. I ignored every call, every text, every letter. Eventually they stopped trying. And with part of Grandma Ruth's money, I created the Ruth Chun Foundation for Teachers. We give full scholarships to people who want to become teachers. People who come from families that don't support them. People who have to build themselves alone. People who are invisible in their own homes. In 3 years, we've helped 39 people reach their dreams. Every time I give out a scholarship, I see Grandma Ruth in their eyes. I see the gratitude, the determination, the special thing that can't be destroyed. And I know she would be proud. Because in the end, real family isn't who you're born to. It's who recognizes your worth. Who celebrates your wins. Who supports you when you fall. Who sees you when you're invisible to everyone else. Grandma Ruth was my real family. And now these 39 people, and the hundreds who will come after them, they're my family too. A family I built myself based on respect and real love. You see, sometimes the family you need isn't the one you were given at birth. It's the one you choose to build when you finally understand your own value. Blood connects, but respect stays longer. You know, for most of my life I thought family was something you were born into. But now I know it's something you build with trust, kindness, and respect. I spent years trying to earn love from people who couldn't give it. The truth is, when you finally stop chasing approval, you start finding peace. Grandma Ruth was right all along. Blood may connect us, but it's respect that keeps us together. And when you learn to value yourself, nobody can make you feel small again. If you agree with me and enjoyed my story, show it by sending a like on this video. Let's see how many of us there are. I'm curious, what city are you listening from? And what time is it there? Write it in the comments. If you'd like to support me on this journey, you can send a small donation. Thank you for listening and sharing your precious time with me. For more life stories like this one, check out the other videos on my channel and subscribe. On the screen you'll find 2 new life stories I'm sure you'll enjoy. Click one to listen right away. With love from Jamal's Stories. And Jamal's Stories.